It's the Whiskey Wizard.
Hello and welcome to the Whiskey Wizard, where we say that whiskey making takes scientific knowledge, an artisan's skill and dedication, and a bit of the wizard's alchemy of light, air, earth, and fire. Good evening! I'm sure most of you have searched for and bought whiskey online, as well as searching the local and not so local brick and mortar establishments for that something special. Somewhere in that searching you've probably come across private bottlings, which brings us to tonight's topic: independent or private whiskey bottlings. If you're into Scottish whiskey like I am, you've no doubt come across offerings out there from names like Cadenhead, Gordon and MacPhail, and Signatory, to name a few. For the longest time, I've steered away from these, I guess mostly out of ignorance. But I've since come to learn about the many great opportunities these independent bottlers provide for whiskey collectors and general enthusiasts like all of us. It has actually been somewhat of a common practice in the whiskey industry for at least a century that distillers would sell barrels of whiskey to blenders and independent bottlers. And some distilleries have come to where they are not marketing any brands themselves. In the United States, Old Forester was the first whiskey sold in glass bottles, and this was introduced in the 1870s by an independent bottler. The brand was created to promote using a sealed bottle, whereby the customer could be assured that the whiskey met the quality standard of the brand and had not been tampered with or adulterated by anyone. In addition, a distillery might also pass on barrels of whiskey to ensure product consistency. If a particular barrel's flavor is notably different, or the head distiller feels it may be uncharacteristic of the profile used in their official product, they may offer that barrel to an independent bottler. Whiskeys bottled by an independent bottler may or may not be labeled with the distillery of origin, but most often they do not use any distillery's trademark logos and images, but rather they have come up with their own branding. Some whiskeys that are bottled by private bottlers have no distillery identification. These may be referred to as secret bottlings. The distiller may be unnamed because the distilleries that produce them only want their name associated with the whiskeys they release. According to Forbes, independent Scottish whiskey bottlers may source and select barrels from a number of distilleries, so they're able to treat them as they see fit. Some of them buy new make spirit and then mature it themselves, while others seek out particularly good casks of already matured whiskey. Either way, independent bottlers take their finds and bottle them. And because the barrel selection process is thorough, consumers almost always get spectacular limited edition whiskey. And of course, most of them are rare and hard to find by definition, as the yield for each cask is only a few hundred bottles. Okay, let's look at some of these. First, Gordon and MacPhail. They offered long-aged whiskeys for a long time. G&M started aging whiskey for much longer than their competitors. Before they started doing this, most malt whiskey was sold after only 5 or 8 years of aging. Apparently, their warehouses in Elgin would be a thrill for any whiskey fan, as they contain some of the oldest and rarest whiskeys in the world. Cadenheads. This is the oldest independent bottler in Scotland, dating back to 1842. They have a very traditional attitude to bottling whiskey, stating that it's bottled when it's remarkable instead of marketable. This means that releases from this bottler will always have a captivated audience of genuine whiskey fans. Signatory was founded in 1988 by Andrew Symington of Edinburgh. It is now one of the most recognized bottlers out there, with a focus on utter purity, using single casks of hand-selected whiskeys and not changing or diluting them in any way. Next, we have Douglas Laing and Hunter Laing. Until 2013, the two companies operated together until brothers Fred and Stuart Laing decided to go separate ways. Fred headed up Douglas Laing and initially focused on blended malts, while Stuart founded Hunter Laing and bottled single cask whiskeys. Both brothers are apparently passionate about the whiskey industry and have invested significantly in building their own distilleries. Douglas Lang's Clutha Distillery in Glasgow, due to open this year, and Hunter Lang's Ardnahoe Distillery on Islay. We just talked about that on a recent Whiskey Roundtable show. Okay, how about the Scotch Malt Whisky Society? Although the SMWS bottles are only available to members, we should include it in our discussion. The Scotch Malt Whisky Society started as a small gathering of friends over 30 years ago. They each were inspired by a single cask of Speyside single malt whiskey they had once tried, and they all remarked at how unique they thought it was. The SMWS is now a privately owned company. Their mission is still the same: judge the whiskey by what's in the glass, not what's on the label. As such, bottles are given a code and a quirky name. The code refers to the distillery, and the liquid comes from the name. It indicates a little bit about the character of the whiskey. That's all. And you'll have to be a member if you want to participate. According to the Whiskey Advocate, Ewan Shan, chairman of Duncan Taylor, established in 1938, another independent bottling concern, says, "I have never been keen on the expression independent bottler. It does not explain our modus operandi in any way. Bottling is, of course, an integral part of the process, but we are not just mere bottlers, and I prefer Scotch Whisky Company," pointing out that their work in cask innovation and their range of single malt grain whiskeys ought to be noted. Now, independent bottlers, or indies as they are called, are making their ways into the realm of American whiskeys as well. More often they are blending whiskeys such as Barrel Craft Bourbon does, taking from many distilleries to fashion their creations, while some may border on the practices of the Scottish indies, such as Proof and Wood, with products such as Redemption Rye. We can expect the number of indies to increase for American whiskeys as well. So we'll pick this up on our next episode as we discuss the practice of contract distilling. Independent or private bottlers provide another avenue of richness for us to walk down in our ambling discovery of the thing we love, known as whiskey. We on the Whiskey Roundtable know that our fans are independent thinkers who love their water of life. This is Douglas Dunbar, the Whiskey Wizard, for the Whiskey Roundtable. Cheers, Slàinte.
Hey, whiskey fans!
You can catch the Whiskey Wizard this Friday evening at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, live on the Whiskey Roundtable.
Grab a favorite pour and join in the fun as they inform us while tasting and evaluating a new whiskey selection on each show.
So tune in, hang out, and enjoy some laughs with the friends on this Friday's live Whiskey Roundtable YouTube videocast.
Cheers and Slàinte.